I don't want to.
Yeah.
Okay, let's sit down now, everybody. You can leave the, eventually put the balls back. So, how did it go? What happened? That was useful, not useful, interesting, not interesting?
Useful, interesting, and fun.
Say again?
Useful, interesting, and fun.
Yeah, all of them.
Okay.
All of the above.
Fine master.
Yeah, definitely.
Wow.
I got the advantage because I'm the last one. Actually, I learned from both of them.
Smart. It actually gets easier and easier. To do overview, I was speaking to several groups. I said, at the end, step back. If you physically step back, remember we do this standing. Most of you were sitting there. You're too used to Zoom, everybody. That's why I got the balls going in here. Because standing gives you balance, even with broken feet. You can start to really get into the motion and then step back. And when you step back, you can say, now how, as you see yourself, and notice how you're using this here in this future that's so important to you. How do you look now? So you're taking people into the big picture at the end. Is this what you want? And notice my arms too. To the extent that you widen the screen, people will widen their inner screen. They'll create a timeline. If you do it physically, they do it inwardly. So any other comments? This is my comments to several groups. Yeah, go ahead.
I think, and maybe my partners can confirm, it was harder to step out. But maybe that's also the timed aspect and, you know, wanting to wrap it up. But we didn't seem to spend as much time there of stepping out as we did stepping in. Yeah.
That's the hidden skill in training. That's a hidden skill in coaching as well. So many coaching schools, I've noticed, what do they ask their clients? How do you feel about that? Now, as soon as people start talking about their feelings, they're actually starting to talk about their evaluations and judgments. It's not feelings at all. Feelings have to do with body. But evaluations and judgments and conclusions, that takes people into a zone where they tend to go into the future, tend to go into the past, into historical reviews that they've already built, and learning stops. Instead of learning, we're just repeating the feel. So much more useful to step out and say, so as you really take a look now at what you want to do with this, seeing yourself engaging that skill, what's of value to you? Different, that's overview. Now, when you take people into the moment, how did you do that in such a way that it worked? What did you do that got people into the experience? Let me hear from you. Yeah, go ahead, Jim.
I feel like you step into the moment first and then expand and build some connection. And then you hold this overview position and allow them to enjoy the moment.
Okay.
But in the same time, it's like outer because you need to continue telling about the moment. But you kind of like, there's a short moment you're collecting the feedback, make sure they're engaged, and then you back to the moment again.
Okay. I'm going to need to experience what you're speaking about in an example. Examples are wonderful. So think of one. But in fact, overview is the key skill here. You're quite right. We overview what the sounds might be. We overview what the feelings might be. And then we're talking kinesthetically, like the feeling of those shoes on your feet, like the feeling of your visceral, that's the belly, and sensate experience. That's real feeling. What does the body give you? Okay. Now, this is something you can build through time, and it differs from topic to topic, but it's the heart of everything you do as trainers. This is how people learn. And it's also how they enjoy. Did you enjoy yourself? I thought you. Oh, here we are at 10 to 1 here, and is our when is the break time? It's from 1 to 3. So we're almost ending our morning. Take your materials, if you would, and take a look at them when you have a chance. The materials are quite useful. I'd like you to look at this wheel here for key areas of this program. And we will spend quite a bit of time on everything on this page. It's a very busy course. We're not spending much time on the online business focus. We do much more with that in the second program, because when you're building programs, they're very different for a corporate program than let's say an individual learning program. All the programs can have their own unique features. But everything else here, we work with. Tomorrow we work with strong beginnings and strong endings. That's a lot of fun. We'll work with demos and small exercises on day 3. And we'll work with metaphors and examples also on day 3. A lot. How many of you like to tell stories? Hey. Well, get a little story going for the program you're creating. I know you've got 8 minutes. It's not all the time in the world, but you will have time to create a story that for you is impactful and useful for your program. So think about that. Online celebration, well, we're not online. We can celebrate anytime we want to. So let's plan on it. And on day 4, we will have a celebration. There'll be I think a big gathering. All the people will arrive on our day 4 evening for the World Game itself. Right now, I think it's half the people, or even a third only, came for this part of the course. So there'll be a huge influx, and we will have an evening to celebrate. Let's start with a celebration of our own. Maybe we could even do something to entertain them. Drop a little hint. Okay, so that's our 4 days. How many of you are clearer now on what you want to do your 2-hour, build your 2-hour talk around? Let's see the hands. Oh, well, that's good. Who needs to still decide? Let's see hands. You're building a 2-hour talk, and you'll be doing quite a bit of that tomorrow. So I need you to decide tonight the topic.
So it's an actual 2 hours?
No.
Is it 8?
You're gonna do 8 minutes of your 2-hour talk. But see, if you're building a 2-hour talk, you're gonna have room for some stories. I do lots of 2-hour conferences. As I mentioned, I was doing 2 conferences in Europe in the last month. And in doing so, you need to plan for the group that you're with. What kind of stories would they like to hear? Why relevant to them? you give relevant examples that they say yes to. There's a PowerPoint, let's show it here. It's on day 2. I want to talk about some of the essential, this one here, number 8. Some of the essential elements of really powerful presentations and how they differ from just exuberant, over-the-top celebrations or topics. So, thank you, Maria, for pulling this up. Yes.
Just stay up. It's on. Just stay up. Turn on. Just yeah, it's on. It's just waiting for it to get started. Just waiting for wait for it.
You know what, everybody? I just saw the elephant now. You can see there's 2 ways. It looks like somebody on their knees with funny ears and like a dinosaur head. And I thought, what was she drawing? What was she drawing? But now I can see it's an elephant nose.
Yeah.
Thank you, I didn't see that either.
You didn't see it either? Well, you know the picture of the vase that has 2 faces facing it? You either see the vase, the whole image,
Or the 2 faces.
or the 2 faces. And what neuroscientists have shown is that you switch really quickly back and forth. Once you know there's 2, you then can go back and forth, but we never see them both at the same time. So the art of being human is to go from big picture whole into detail and back again, and to be able to do that in such a way that you remember the details, even in the big picture, and vice versa. Here we go. So here we go, looking at where does attention go? And this is a big picture example of how we might start to build a talk that genuinely gives people an experience of leadership. Let's start at the bottom here. People either emphasize some sort of persona, some sort of I'm a this kind of a person image of yourself, or you just get authentic with the group. And how do you do that? It's like stripping. You take off all the masks and just be with them, and they relax and be themselves as well. That's the bottom. Now, as a leader, let's see here. This is far too big. I didn't realize I had so much. But look at the line number 5. It says, we either talk in terms of evaluation, which is binary. Yes, no, good, bad, right, wrong. Do it this way. Don't do it that way. This will work. This won't work. Or we point to the fact that every topic is nuanced and complex. And as we talk, we give people an experience that we see that range, that we can talk about that range rather than this versus that. As soon as we do, they experience leadership, not simple opinion. So as trainers, build nuance into your topic. So we either talk about single issues, this again versus that, or we give that big picture context, system thinking in some way. How do you give system thinking? Yeah.
Can I move the chair just a bit?
Oh, sure. You guys over
In
here.
the corner. On this side.
There's too much on this chart because it was designed for this guild conversation. But it's useful here in terms of looking at how we create systems at work, teams at work, corporations at work, worlds at work. instead of talking about things that are this way or that way, certainty, see number 6 here, talk about likelihoods. Give people scopes that they can experience when you're giving some kind of information. Instead of talking about what's right or wrong, notice areas where people are taking ranges of responsibility. How can we increase their capacity for taking on, learning, developing, experiencing more of that responsibility? The word responsibility is really relevant to us as trainers. Now I know we're diving into a big picture talking here, but we can assist people when we reason from first principles. If we give them a logic system, tell them where it comes from. Tell them the value of the logic system and what the appropriateness of it is, rather than this is like this, or this isn't like that, or which is sloppy thinking. So I'm talking to you as people creating a training program and engaging others in how to really get interested in what your topic is. Now, I'm going to put this down. It's a little bit too big framework. It was designed for a conversation on ecology, but it's also highly relevant to any kind of training. I realize we're coming to the end of our day here, our morning. I just want to thank you for being in this class. I'm already enjoying you a lot. I have a feeling we'll be throwing a lot of balls at each other. And that as you get your topics, please share them with us tomorrow. We're going to have quite a lot of fun developing them. Tomorrow, I want you to introduce yourself. Notice we haven't done any introductions yet. We've only done as-if introductions. So tomorrow you're going to do a real introduction. Who you are, why it's important that you're here, how you're going to take this into the future, what you plan to do with it, where and when, a whole logical levels introduction. We're also going to notice how to create a course by bridging things across and developing. Now this afternoon, what we're going to do is bring up intuition. We're going to work with intuitive thinking all afternoon and get good at storytelling on the spot, just without any planning whatsoever. That's the game. All right, guys, let's end our morning. See you at 4 o'clock. 4:05 actually.
3:05.
3:05. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. Yeah, me too.
And we can leave things here.
Yeah, I think that we pretty well own the building, but I take my money with me. So
Yeah.
I also take my cell phone if I really need.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, by the way, would you mind wearing your name tags for a couple more days? Very helpful.
Нет, давайте, это же вас знает, да? А я сейчас в прав свете.
Скажи, нам кофе не хватает. Скажи, Виталик,
Конечно.
Спасибо. Утреннее, мы все каждое утро занимаемся.
Everybody, today we'll finish at normal time.
Спасибо.
Хороший.